That'll bring us on to the red commons here. Explosive Derailment, first one. It's a spree card. It's a single red mana for an instant. 2 modes here are +2 mana. It deals 4 damage to target creature. And +2 mana, destroy target artifact. So 3 mana, deal 4. 3 mana, shatter. 5 mana, kill an artifact, deal 4. That's not bad at all. 3 mana, deal 4. You like that? It's totally serviceable. And if you get that 5 mana, kill 2 things, you feel great about it.
Great. And there are, we talked about there's not a ton of artifacts that we've reviewed so far, but there is all the like the big cards or whatever. A bunch of those are artifacts, and if you hit one of those, you're going to be very happy.
Yeah. No, that's a great point too. Kind of between C+ and B- on this one. I'm going to give it a C+, I think. I think the most common mode on this is going to be just like 3 mana, deal 4. And that's about a C+ for me.
I thought I was going to have to talk you up to a C+, so I'm glad to hear that you're like already reasonably high on this.
Cool.
So
yeah.
4 damage kills like a huge percentage of the creatures in this set.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, we haven't had... I feel like the gold cards were our most disagreements, actually kind of interesting. We haven't had too many disagreements today. Quick Draw. This is a funny card. Single red mana for an instant. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains first strike until end of turn. Creatures target opponent controls lose first strike and double strike until end of turn. So you want to be the one to shoot first, of course.
No, you don't want to be the one
to shoot second, because then,
it makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, so you... depends how you want to... It is unfortunate because it doesn't actually play the way that the joke works. But, like, you can, like, let it resolve. And then... Or if you were to do it in response, you would still lose it.
It wouldn't work.
No. I
so
mean, like...
You literally need to let your opponent shoot you.
Yeah.
And then you pull out your gun and shoot them back, and somehow that wins.
I think somebody's going to mess this up at some point and let the opponent... win the Great Draw War. So like +1/+1. This is such a... It's so weird, because the +1 on toughness is so fake, because... I guess it saves against like a damage-based removal spell once in a while, but like first strike plus and pumping toughness doesn't ever really matter.
Right.
So it's just like Kindled Fury, which I was hoping they'd stop printing. Apparently not, but maybe it's just for the bit. Maybe it's just a good joke. So I'm gonna give this like a D-, F maybe.
A D-.
Yeah.
Said,
yeah. D-.
Okay. The fact that this is Rid's like only trick, I'm gonna give it a slightly higher grade of D, just because I think there'll be spots you kind of have to play this.
Yep. Reckless Lackey. Roronora Zoro, as otherwise known as single red mana for a goblin pirate. It's got first strike and haste, and it's a 1/2. So 1 mana, 1/2 first strike haste. Also got the ability 2 in a red, sacrifice the lackey, draw a card, and create a treasure token. Should also note, because like pirate's not been a creature type we've seen much. That is also an outlaw. I assume red is gonna have some pirates here. I've seen people go really, they've seen red. Not to make too big of a pun here, but people are not happy about this card. They're like, oh man, it's gonna be his card's so good. Like the format's gonna be so fast. I'm not that impressed by it. Like I think it's solid, but I don't think this is like a ridiculous 1-drop or anything.
Is this an aggressive card?
That's what I was thinking too. Like it might even just be a little bit more of a defensive card. I mean,
right, like first strike is a pretty good ability on defense.
Yeah.
And then the ability to like chump for a card and a treasure is also definitely, a defensive ability. Haste obviously is, that only goes one way. But
and yeah, it's good with mercenaries. Like I get the joke there. You can like pump up your lackey and like I'm not trying to say it's a bad aggressive card or anything. I'm just trying to say like the comparison I would make is to in Ixalan, the 2/2 haste if you had an artifact. I think that card's better as an aggressive card than this one. Like this having 1 power. There's a big difference between a 2 power 1-drop and a 1 power 1-drop. Let me put it that way, right? I'm just gonna give it like a C. I don't know. I don't think it's anything that special. And I love 1-drops.
I will again say the bar for a 1-drop being good.
True, yeah, maybe C+.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
So I can certainly see this just being a card that you're like again, it double spells, it replaces itself. Like, I think I'm just going to give this a C+.
Okay,
but I'm with you that it's not like busted or anything.
I'll join you there. Totally. We've got Deadeye Duelist up next. 1 in a red for a 1/3 reach, human assassin. It's got 1 tap. It deals a damage to target opponent.
Yeah, commits crimes, deals damage, is an outlaw. So like, checks all the boxes for being an aggressive card, except for the fact that it's a 1/3
It's
reach.
1/3 reach. Yeah, exactly. It might be a little bit more than the sum of its parts here. Like, not in your aggressive decks, but just like in a deck. I could envision in a deck where you're committing crimes, you're a little more defensive. I still don't love it still.
Yeah,
but
I'm still gonna go like D plus.
D plus, yeah, that's where I was gonna go too. Yeah, bricks. Holy cow, this is true. Next up, we've got Discerning Peddler. 1 in a red for a 2/2 human rogue. When it ETBs, you can discard a card, and if you do, draw a card. All right.
Yeah, we've seen this card at 2/1 a lot
Mhm.
in previous sets, and the fact that it's a 2/1 is often hurts quite a
yeah.
bit. So the fact that this is a 2/2 is, I think, pretty big.
Yeah, it's a meaningful upgrade. I think just to see them.
I could see it even being better,
Yeah?
because this is the last, like, these are the only red 2-drops. This card and the last card.
True.
So this is the one I want to play.
Which is interesting and definitely speaks more to what you were saying about red white just like not being that aggressive, right? Like I think it is a little bit more, sure, you're attacking, but you're not just like 1, 2, 3, 4 combat should kill you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to give it a C plus then?
Yeah, I think this card does a lot of things. Like there's reanimations in the spell, in the set, where you can like discard something and reanimate it. There's it helps you double spell late game because you can discard a land and hit another spell. So I think it does a lot of like kind of gluey things.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm on board. Okay, cool. C plus for Discerning Peddler. Highway Robbery up next. This is 1 in a black, or sorry, 1 in a red. We haven't skipped around. 1 in a red for a sorcery. You can discard a card or sacrifice a land, and if you do, you draw 2 cards. And it's got plot for 1 in a red.
Yeah.
That plot cost is kind of nice on this card because we've always been to that situation where it's like, well, like I could. This kind of helps me spend my mana this turn, but I don't have anything I really want to discard here. Or you top deck this, right? And you're like, I don't actually have anything to discard. I cast all my stuff, and then you plot it, and maybe you get to you draw a land, and then you get to cast this for free, and you get to double spell that turn. You draw 2 spells off this, so it's a nice little variant on a Tormenting Voice. Like these are never really anything special, but they can make your deck sometimes.
Yeah, I think this is one, again, plot for anything less than 4 already gets a boost, and it's in the color that kind of wants to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the blue-red decks, and being able to sack a land on this is really big.
So what do you like for it? Like just a C minus still? D plus?
I like it significantly more than that, I think.
Yeah, I think as I was kind of like processing the rate in my head, I think I did kind of play down the sacrificing a land, because that is a big upside on this card, just being able to like cash in something that you don't need anymore necessarily.
I think I'm gonna go up to like C plus.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. I was gonna land on C, but I like the gumption. Cool, yeah. Thunder Salvo up next. Red removal spell. 1 in a red for an instant. It deals X damage to target creature, where X is 2 plus the number of other spells you've cast this turn.
This card is going to get overplayed.
Yes. Overpicked, overplayed.
All of the above.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah. Probably like a C minus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think when I think of what makes a 2-mana deal 3, which you're gonna make this a deal 3 sometimes. When I think about what makes that good is like, you're on the draw, your opponent plays a 3 toughness creature, you get to kill that. That's a big part of the range, and that just, you can't do that here. So yeah, C minus. I could actually see us being a little bit low on this, and it's just like a C or something, but it is not a great deal 2 variant. Or deal 3, because it's not always going to deal 3.
Yeah, it's definitely somewhere between C minus and C.
Irascible Wolverine is up next. 2 in a red for a Wolverine. It's a 3/2, and it says when ETBs, you exile the top card of your library until end of turn. You can play that card. Plot, 2 in a red. So there's another card. It's like, well, actually, I don't even know if we've seen too many of these cards, but it's a card that plot on this card is nice because this card's much better when you've got all your mana open. instead of having to go, well, I'll cast on turn 5 and maybe hit a land, maybe hit a 2-drop. But if you can just plot this on one turn, cast the next, be able to flip a spell, yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, this is another example of where like it just red doesn't seem that aggressive.
Yeah, well,
Like this card's really good.
It's a really good value card, yeah.
But it's not attacking on turn 4 at all.
Yeah, I really wonder how this is gonna. I'm just very curious to see where the color pairs end up and what ends up being the aggressive deck of the format. Because I do think there's going to be some aggressive decks for sure. Maybe green white is that the boogeyman. But yeah, card's good. You want? I could see this being a B-. I think the awkward timing of it might just make it a C+ still.
I'm gonna go. I'm pretty confident it's gonna be in the B-.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll start with the optimistic B-. So cool.
And just to be clear, the play pattern with this is plotted on turn 3. Turn 4, you untap. You're almost certainly, unless you got something very specific you want to do with your 4 mana that's already mapped out, you just play this from the top. If you hit a land, fantastic. If you hit a spell that costs 4 or less, you probably play it, but there is some awkwardness if you hit like a 2-drop and your turn 4 is doing a 2-drop.
Exactly.
But yeah, all upside it. And if you top deck it late game, you can just cast it and hit another card for free. Notably, also, I keep mentioning how these cheap plot cards are good with, this is good with Loan Shark and with the Stitcher. But another example of where it's not actually good with the blue-red Signpost uncommon.
Yeah, okay.
Because Crom, you can't play this, hit your land, play your land, and play Crom, because Crom's not going to trigger because it's not going to see the second spell cast.
Yeah, a little bit. I think people are going to get tripped up on that a little bit when they're playing with these cards for the first time. Good to call that out. Yeah. Good card, though. Good card.
Yeah.
Mine Raider. 2 and a red for a 3/2 trample human rogue. When it enters the battlefield, if you control another outlaw, you make a treasure token. So sort of like a plundering pirate, but it's got trample, but it doesn't always make the treasure.
Yeah, this is more deck specific, but it's quite good in those decks. So it's like kind of the definition of like a C card for me.
Yeah, I would give it a C. C to Mine Raider. Outlaw's Fury up next. 2 and a red for an instant. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If you control an outlaw, you exile the top card of your library, and until the end of your next turn, you can play that card. So another, they've made a lot of these cards in the past few years where these like game-ending cards that only got cast in the last spell of the game. They want to incentivize you to, sometimes just play it as a combat trick. I mean, just be like, all right, trade off, my trade up a little bit, push a bit of damage, and I draw my card next turn. I think this is probably not a great set for this without a ton of going wide stuff. But then again, there's going to be decks where you're like, yeah, I've got, 6 things that go wide. Next common we're looking at is something that goes wide.
If you're not going wide, are you still okay with this?
That's the thing, right? Like so the best case scenario is you have a 2/3 and they have a 2/3 and you win the combat and you draw a card, but that's just not going to happen all that often. So the next best thing is like you get to trade up a decent amount on maybe 2 creatures or even just on 1 creature. Hey, on 1 creature is not very good. I don't think you're going to play this card that often, but I agree it's not that bad if you're not going wide. It's still like a fine card.
Yeah, we just had On the Job, and On the Job was incredible and gave you a clue. And clue is kind of better and worse than this ability.
Yeah.
But the card was very powerful, and I like D+, C-.
I'll give it a C-. Yeah, the optimistic C- here.
Okay.
Especially if you have a lot of prickly pears. 2 and a red for a 2/2 plant mercenary. When it enters the battlefield, you make a mercenary token.
Yeah, wow.
Great card. Easy. It's like Inside Source, but you pump less, but it's a free pump.
Is this a B+ or an A-?
I'm gonna go B+. Oh, B+ or A-. Yeah, I'm just gonna go B+ on it, I think.
Yeah,
but yeah,
B+.
Very good card. So many of these kind of cards. Anyways, Quill Charger up next. 3 and a red for a 4/3 Porcupine Mount. When it attacks while saddled, it gets +1/+2 and gains medicine until end of turn. Saddle cost is 2. Or saddle, cost, sure. It's doesn't do anything when it comes in. It's as simple as that, I think.
Yeah, doesn't block well. Needs like specific stuff. Like five
Yeah,
five menace
it
is
hits.
no joke.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is like definition of D plus
yep,
kind of card for me.
exactly what I was gonna give it.
Yeah.
This next one's really weird and interesting, and I wonder if you have some thoughts on this. This is Rodeo Pyromancers. 3 in a red for a 3/4 human mercenary. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, add red, red. Have you thought about this card a lot, or?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
So I think that it's a powerful ability, but the decks that are double spelling are often not really going to like need that man. Like a lot of the things that encourage you to be double spelling are cheap,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Agree.
So it's not like you're going to fill your deck with expensive cards and then be like, okay, I have to draw this and untap with it, and then I can really go off. So I don't think it's great. Like it's kind of got that same like just the white mount, the 3/4
Mm-hmm.
bridled whatever foghorn or whatever that thing was that made a 1/1 when you could untap and attack with it.
Yeah, yeah, the sheep
That
thing.
kind of seems like a similar card to me.
And I just knocked the last card for being 4 mana, no UTB, right? And like, there's no way to like. I was trying to think. Okay, can you do anything where you get the mana right away with plotting? And like, no, because this is the first card you've cast. So yeah, it it feels like there should be. It feels like I'm missing something about the card, but I don't think I am. Like it. I don't know. I don't think this card is good. Let's say it sticks. All right. We'll just say it sticks. You play it on turn 4. They don't have an answer. You untap. You play your first spell. It's like a 3 mana spell. It seems it's a plot creature or a plot card. You unplot it, and maybe this gives you mana to plot. I don't know. I'm kind of like trying to sell myself on it, but I
Well,
don't think it's great.
one card that this does work well with is the Thunder Salvo, right? The X damage, where X is 2 plus the number of other spells you've cast.
Yeah, it's a 2 mana spell.
Because then, like, you play this, you untap, you tap out, and it spots you the like 3 damage from Thunder Salvo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that's kind of best case scenario, and I don't even think that's insane or anything.
D plus. D.
Yeah, I'm on D plus for this too. Yeah.
Okay. Iron Fist Pulverizer. Up next. 4 in a red for a giant warrior. It's a 4/5 reach. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, it deals 2 damage to target opponent, and you scry 1. I'm gonna say the same thing. it's just like it's a big thing with no protection, no enter the battlefield effect, and you know on these set reviews we've been doing it for me and Mark have been doing these for a little bit over a year, and within that year we've had a few cards that have been kind of like this, like okay, like reach, big statted, and like they just never end up being good. It kind of sounds like it looks sneaky good, like a little bit better than it might be, but they never end up being good.
Well, so the Alphasaur was pretty good.
That is true. No, you make a good point. That one was good.
But yeah, this is the fourth one because there was one in SNC,
Mm-hmm.
there was one in March of the Machines, and then there was also Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So it's batting 33% right now, and I don't even know if this ability is better than those. Like it, I think it's like you get the Scry 1, but I think it's harder to trigger this than it is to just tap your creature.
Yeah, this one does get the upside of it's sort of
It can attack.
well, it can attack, but also sort of has if you squint just right in ETB, if you have plot cards because you play this, and you plot like
yeah.
right.
But I guess I'm saying like how many triggers do you expect to get on this versus the others? And I think the number's higher
Mm-hmm.
in terms of expected triggers.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I'm still gonna start low on it, and just like the other ones, just give it a D plus. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. Next up, Trick Shot. 4 in a red for an instant. It deals 6 damage to 1 target creature and 2 damage to up to 1 target token creature. So kill a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
probably
like,
kill a
these
token.
expensive cards. They're all kind of like you want 1 or 2 expensive card in your deck, and it doesn't really matter which one you pick. Like this is just another D plus to me.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, very very interesting. Not actually that impressed with red. We'll see how that turns out. Uncommons up next. Brimstone Roundup. 1 in red for an enchantment. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you make a mercenary, and it has plot for 3 in a red. Okay. Oof. So, how many mercenaries do you expect out of this, basically?
Me, 0.
Because you're never gonna put this card in your deck, basically. Yeah, it just does not seem good enough. It's really rough.
Yeah.
Man. I almost feel like, I almost feel like we are missing something, or maybe not. It's just like the feeling of feeling like you're missing something. You know what I mean with these red cards. But yeah, I don't think this card's particularly good. I almost like sounds like you're gonna give it an F. I would not mind if I joined you there.
I'm gonna give it a like. I have a lot of credit in the bank for anything that plots for less than 4 mana.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's
Okay.
so many things that
Yeah.
want you to double spell on 4, so I'm gonna give it a D.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll join you.
Okay.
Can we get a good one here? Caught in the Crossfire. Red for an instant. It's a spree card. Plus 1 mana. It deals 2 damage to each outlaw creature. Plus another mana. It deals 2 damage to each non-outlaw creature. So 3 mana instant speed. Deal 2 to everything. Or sorry, deal 2 to some number of things. 4 mana. Kill everything that's 2 toughness or less. The cool thing is that you could put this in like an all-outlaw deck and maybe get some pretty good value off of it. Or an all non-outlaw deck if that happens.
But then you could also just get paired against
Exactly.
the same half.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then so it's a little bit of a wash.
So I'm genuinely curious if this card would have just been better as like 1 red, deal 2 damage to everything.
Yeah, probably. Sideboard, probably, right? Like
yeah. I don't think it's quite good enough to main deck. But like, there's a lot of 2/2s. Honestly, this one I'm gonna give it a coward sideboard grade, so I don't have to actually think about what it really is. But
Okay.
I could see it being okay.
Cool. Okay, we got a Cunning Coyote here, and we got a partner card with this a few cards later. This is 1 red for a 2/2 haste, and when it enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Plot for 1 red. So a 2/2 haste for 2. That's good. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Solid, I would say. And then the plot thing is like, all right, well, you're not very often going to be playing this on 2 and pumping something. So instead, you could like plot it, play your 3-drop, play this, get in. But most of the time, I think you're just going to play this on 2.
Really? I think that's not true.
Oh, you know what? I agree, because what you just said a few minutes ago about just the things that cost cheap to plot are valuable for various reasons.
Well, no, also, okay, ignoring the double spell aspect of the reason I talked up plot, if you just play this on 2, you've got it in 2 damage, right?
Yes.
And then on turn 3, you get in for another 2 damage and play your 3-drop. So if your 3-drop is at least a 2/2, it's getting more damage than just casting this by plotting it.
This is true.
You get in for 5 rather than 4.
Right. I just worry slightly that your 2/2 is not going to be able to get in on turn 3 sometimes. Right? They play a 3 toughest creature. That's all.
But in that case, it's still more damage. Because otherwise you're getting in 2.
Oh, fair. Then it wouldn't be able to get in anyways. Yeah. No, good call. Yeah. Mark coming in with the...
I think this card is really good.
The clutch math save. Yeah, no, I agree. I like this card a lot. I'm not a... It's going to be really bad when you face the protection from Coyote card, but that's just one card that we'll see in a second.
Even no, I'm still happy that even if you said every single one of your opponents is going to have that card, I would still put this card in the deck.
Of course. You want to give it a B-?
I want to give it a B.
Okay, yeah. I'll stick with B-, but I like it. This is a cool card. Demonic Ruckus. 1 red for an aura. Enchant creature. The enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has menace and trample. And when Ruckus is put into the graveyard, you draw a card. Plot for, this is important, single red mana. Okay. So you plot it on 1. And then you get to go like, play my 2-drop. Maybe just suit that up right there and then. Or, like wherever you deem it appropriate to cast this. That +1/+1 and menace and trample, like that's a good buff. That's a good buff. It's an interesting one. I'm not like over the moon about it, but I do really like that it's an extremely cheap plot cost on a turn you're not often going to be doing something, or just being able to fit it in on a turn where you are doing something.
Yeah, this card is really sweet, and it creates like a kind of interesting sub game too, right? Because when you plot this on 1, like let's say you have a 2-drop and a 3-drop lined up, or whatever, you have creatures lined up for the rest. You just really, really, really want your opponent to tap out.
Yeah.
You're like, just like, please, like, just let me cast this
Yeah,
onto my
exactly.
creature without blowing me out in response because you know it's coming.
Yeah, that is a really cool little sub game. I think yeah, I think this card is more good than bad. Like my gut just says C plus basically.
I was gonna go up to B minus.
Oh really? That high, eh?
I think
Okay.
yeah, cheap plot cards.
Cheap plot, yeah, cheap plot.
Like,
I think
if there's anything you want to do on turn 1 in the format across all the cards we've seen, like this has got to be the best
yeah.
thing to do.
No, I agree. Totally agree. Okay, no, I'm in. I'll join you B minus. Strange one here. Magebane Lizard. 1 in red for a 1/4. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Magebane Lizard deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. This is a constructed card, right? Sideboard card at best.
Like a weird, like you're playing what, a mostly creature control deck.
Yeah. Weird one.
But it's got like it's a big body.
Yeah, it is just kind of strange that it's symmetrical.
Like D?
Yeah, sure. I'll give it a generous D.
Okay.
Resilient Roadrunner. Maybe 1 red for a 2/2 haste that has protection from coyotes and has an ability 3. The Roadrunner cannot be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. So it's got the Gingerbread ability.
It is just the one coyote in the set, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure there's only one coyote. Just
funny.
in case, yeah, you don't know.
Also red, so again, better in pod drafts.
Yeah,
you're less likely.
That's funny. Yeah, you're gonna have the coyote card. Yeah, again, we're gonna say similar things. A little bit worse, I think, just because it doesn't do the plot thing, but it has the upside of having the 3-mana ability. Like that's not nothing.
I think I would put this like, I have this as 2 grades below. Like I have this as C plus.
Okay,
I don't think it's nearly as good as that coyote.
I agree. C plus.
Okay.
C plus for the Roadrunner. Okay, this next one it's really interesting because it's going to be such a blowout when it's good, but I think not great most of the time. Return the Favor. Red for an instant. It's got spree. +1 mana. Copy target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. +1 mana. Change the target of target spell or ability with a single spell. So, with 4 mana, if they cast a removal spell, you get to 3-for-1 them. It's got a heck of a ceiling.
Yes. However, not only do you need your opponent not to just cast a creature and make you cry.
Yep.
But you also need them to be brave enough to play whatever spell they have into your 3 to 4 open mana. So like, you're not really blowing out combat tricks with this, because most of the times your opponent are not going to get into combat with you if you have a ton of open mana.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have like an instant speed interaction spell, it's probably getting cast on your end step, so you're like potentially time walking yourself.
Yeah.
Or, there's a lot of awkwardness with this.
Yeah, no, I think this is not going to be good. It's just, there's just so many situations where it's not good. Like all the things you just mentioned, basically. There are some interesting things where like you can copy your own stuff, right? Like you get to copy your abilities, copy a spell. Maybe you have like a cheap, that might be the saving grace on this card, where like the buyout is, you save this for turn 6, you cast your 3 mana, deal 4, and kill something else as well, right?
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned ability though. Like other than like Mindslaver, what ability are you copying or changing the target of?
Yeah, not too many. I have to go through the set, of course, but I think there's probably a few things that are worth like 3 mana to copy. Niche. It's a niche situation. I'm just saying like it's gonna happen sometimes, or there is. If you were to look at a board and be like, yeah, Return the Favor would be pretty good here.
Yeah,
we're pontificating on this card for a very long time, and we're just gonna give it like a D or something, right? Pretty much.
I think it's
sideboard,
like, probably a safe sideboard grade.
Okay,
yeah.
I
think it's quite good enough to main deck.
Yeah.
But it's
I
like
agree with
insane as a sideboard card.
Yep. Good sideboard card. Let's leave it at that. All right. Next up, Scorching Shot. Red for sorcery. It deals 5 damage to target creature. I think this one's going to be slightly overrated. I the thing I dislike about this card is it's red, and that is a bigger cost than I think a lot of people might anticipate. And sorcery speed. Sorcery speed removal it's quite a bit worse than instant speed removal.
I think like it costs 2, but it doesn't really cost 2.
Right.
It's hard to cast on 2.
Yeah. Like I don't think this is like I don't want to say it's a bad card. Don't do not don't get me wrong. It's gonna be a good card, but it's not just like B+ premium removal. I think I'm gonna give Scorching Shot like a C+ basically.
That's what I wrote down as well.
Cool. Yeah. Frostnification. 2 and a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you choose one. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until on a turn, or target creature you control gains menace and haste until on a turn.
So I think this card sucks.
Yeah, I think so too. It reminds me of the one from Ixalan that it was like the white enchantment that gave your thing +2/+0 in vigilance.
Yeah, but I think that card is better than this one in a set that's not quite as power creeped. So, like, why would you ever play this?
And that card, the Ixalan was like uniquely, I'll say uniquely good, but uniquely serviceable for that card because there was just so many 1/1 flyers with like lifelink on your bat or whatever. And yeah, I think this card's. We gave that card an F and we were wrong about it, but I'm going to once again give this one an F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to fall for the same trap again.
Yeah, great. Third time's a charm when they print something else like that. Gila Courser. 2 and a red for a 4/2. It's a mount. Lizard mount. When it attacks while saddled, exile the top card of your library. You can play it until the end of your next turn. Saddle 1.
And something I just picked up on with both this and the common that does that is those two plus the Snapcaster all make Doc Orlock not flavor text.
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah. This is the blue-green signpost and comment, by the way. That
yeah, I'm already throwing all the colors together.
Love
like,
it. Yeah, love it. Yeah, this is a solid one, right? Like good for your 4 power matters decks. You smash in, sometimes you draw a card. I think actually pretty often you're gonna draw a card off of this.
Yeah, you're gonna happy to just play a creature, use it to saddle and attack because it can pretty safely attack on turn 4 into anything.
Yeah,
because like 4 powers means it's even if they trade, you're still getting a card.
Exactly.
Off of it.
Yeah, this is pretty good. C+ for Gila Courser.
I think I'm gonna go a little higher. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go B-.
Yeah, I'll join you there. I agree. Longhorn Sharpshooter up next. 2 and a red for a 3/3 Minotaur Rogue. It's got reach, and when it becomes plotted, it deals 2 damage to any target. Plot for 3 and a red. So this is almost like an adventure in a way, right? So it's like, do you want to? The Rat Catcher might be a good example where it's like, well, you could just play this on curve, but if you want to wait, you get a little more value. Card's great though, right? Yeah. Just I think you're going to be plotting this more times than not, basically. Like you will play this on turn 3 if you don't have anything else to do on 3 and your hand is like all combat tricks or something. But yeah, this card's just great. B or B+, maybe even A-, but I think closer to the B range. 2 damage.
No, I think I'm gonna go B.
Okay, yeah.
Like just the fact that it doesn't attack or block the turn it comes down. Yeah,
I'm into it. Scale Storm Summoner. 2 and a red for a 3/3 human warlock. Whenever it attacks, you make a 3/1 red dinosaur creature token if you control a creature power 4 or greater.
That's scary.
Scary, yeah. Scary is the word I would use to describe that. So a lot of times it's just gonna like trade off, and it's still good. You get to go, okay, sure, block, even just like a token. If you get to kill a token with this, and you get another 3/1, that's good. And sometimes you're gonna cast a combat trick. I think you're going to cast a removal spell post-combat or post-blocks some amount of the time on this thing.
Well, so like what if you just play this on turn 3, your opponent taps out, and you just like hard cast Take Up the Shield?
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, this is not say another creature, right? It is...
Yeah, so it protects itself.
Oh,
you
got
4 lifelink. It's there's a lot of sweet stuff you can do with this.
Yeah. Matt Sperling in chat saying with the coyote, Haste this out.
Oh
Give
yeah,
plus one.
God.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay. So we were a little bit down on Red's commons, but Red's uncommons bringing the heat here. I think this is another just B minus. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's about B minus.
yeah, cool. All right, this next one's a cool one. Take for a ride. 3 mana, 2 in a red for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature, gains haste, so just active treason. But if you've committed a crime, it has flash. So, if you are new to a instant speed active treason, they play much differently than a sorcery speed one. Because what you can do is you steal your opponent's creature in combat, you untap it, you get to block with it. Sometimes you just like save a bit of damage from yourself, and you get to like eat one of their creatures. But if you're lucky, they have 2 evenly statted creatures, like a 3/3 and a 3/3. You steal it, steal one of them, you block, both of them die. Now, a decent number of hoops to jump through there, and I don't think it's like going to be the main reason you put the card in your deck. But maybe actually I'm wrong about that. Maybe you will try to enable that a little bit more often than not. Yeah, what do
I
you think?
almost see like 3 different decks this can go in, because there are some times where a threaten is an acceptable 23rd card,
Mm-hmm.
just like in some aggro decks, and again, there's not a ton of go wide, so that's better with threatens. If you're going tall rather than wide, it pushes more damage. And then second, there's also like the black red. There's the village rights and the fell stinger. So there's ways to like steal it and then sack their thing and kind of go to town. And there's also the white black one, that the uncommon. So there's a few ways to sack it. And then there's the third one, which is like cheap instant speed crimes, which we've seen. There's a 1 mana black one. There's a 1 mana blue one. There's a number of cheap ways to do crime that'll turn this into the Ray of Command, which is like the complete blowout. It sounds like Magical Christmas Land, but I think it's actually quite doable.
No, I agree. I was kind of, when I read this card for the first time, it was before the full set was really out, and I was like, all right, that's kind of cute, but like, it almost seems like one of those things where they cost it at 3 mana. They're like, okay, they're not gonna let you do this all the time or fairly consistently, but I no longer think that's true. I think this is going to be a fairly, like, a reasonable thing to do. When you put in your deck, you're like, yeah, I'm expecting to do this 30-40% of the time I draw it, you know? So I like it.
Yeah, there's like a lot of commons that make it really good.
Yeah. What do you want to give it?
It's a huge range.
Yeah. There's also steal and sack, you can do that too. And like you said,
I talked about that.
Like you said, yeah.
Pretty normal mode for this, which is also going to feel great. I'm going to give this a B minus.
I was going to go C plus, but yeah, you could be right about that one. Hellspur Brute, our last red uncommon here. 4 red for a 5/4 trample, but it's got affinity for outlaws, which means it costs 1 less to cast for each outlaw you control. Okay.
This is another card that seems absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, just like extremely scary. So I think it's going to be pretty common you play this for 3 mana. Almost always it's going to be a 4-drop. I think it's going to be very rare it's a 5-drop. And then sometimes you just have like great double spell turns with this, where you play it for 2 mana, right? You like go 2-drop, 3-drop, play another outlaw, play this.
Like even ignoring the fact that you could be playing outlaws on turn 1 and 2, Prickly Pear makes 2 outlaws.
Oh yeah, wow, that's amazing.
You can go turn 3 Prickly Pear, turn 4 Prickly Pear Brute.
Oh, yeah, that's
like
nice.
Not even having done a 1-drop or a 2-drop.
Okay,
right? So
yeah, I'm in. B minus for Hellspur Brute.
Yeah, I could see it being even higher, but I think B minus is probably a safe grade for this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I see the Reds uncommons kind of redeemed it a little bit. Not that its commons are like terrible or anything, but less impressive than the other colors, I think. All right, home stretch here. Moving on to green. We got our first green common here, Ankle Biter. It's a classic one, single green mana for a 1/1 Death Touch. How do you like a 1/1 Death Touch, Mark?
A little less with Skullduggery in the format.
Yep. And less with like a bunch of like 1/1 tokens running around.
But I mean, there are a lot of like kind of huge creatures.
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of punch spells as well.
Absolutely.
So I think this card's decent. I'm gonna give it an optimistic C.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say too. These kind of range sometimes. Sometimes they're a little bit better. Sometimes they're a little bit worse. There was Shigeki, Fang Shigeki, and that was an enchantment. That was like one of the better green commons. So it doesn't have any inherent synergy or anything. But yeah, I'll give it a C. Snakeskin Veil. This is a pretty nice one too. Another reprint. Single green mana for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. So you've got this combo of Snakeskin Veil and Take Up the Shield for protecting your like green-white mount deck things. And this card's pretty darn good. It really, most games when you draw this, you will get a mana advantage somewhere. Either you win a combat, or your opponent casts a 4-mana, 3-mana removal spell. You get to counter that, especially at a very inopportune time for your opponent to have their spell countered. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's not even like just counter a 2-mana removal spell though. It's like it leaves something behind.
Yeah, which is big.
Yeah.
You want to go all the way up to B- on this, or do you think it's just a C+?
Yep, I already wrote down B-.
All right, I like it. Yeah, especially with the mount stuff. Bristlepack Sentry. This is not quite a reprint, but a functional reprint. 1 green for a 3/3 defender. As long as you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it can attack as long as it didn't, or as though it didn't have defender. And an important word missing from this card: it is not another. So you can put a counter on the Sentry. You can pump it with a mercenary. This thing can attack. They printed this card originally in like Core 2021, and then they printed like a few bad versions in the following years, and now they're back to just being like, you know what, this was good. You know, don't have to try to fix what was not broken, and this is a solid 2 for those kind of decks.
Yeah. So when we back when we did the artifacts, I mentioned the once in a blue moon deck where the Goldvein pick might be good.
Yep.
And like curving this into pick and then like holding up Snakeskin Veil with the treasure.
I can see it.
That's a pretty good start.
Okay.
And this is a pretty good sized defender if you're going to be plotting stuff and trying to take the game to the late game.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna give it a C. I'm not as high on this as I was the original version, because that was a set with a lot of +1/+1 counters in it. But yeah, C for Bristlepack Sentry. Dance of the Tumbleweeds. You referenced this one a little while ago. 1 green for a sorcery. It's a spree card. +1 mana. You search your library for a basic land or a desert. Put it onto the battlefield tapped. And shuffle, of course. +3 mana. You make a XX green elemental creature token, where X is the number of lands you control.
So this is one where we might disagree again. So I want to hear your thoughts.
I like this card. I think it's pretty good. At first I was like, 3-mana ramp, and that's like, it's got a buyout or like a, late game. It can be pretty good card. But it's just more of like a split card where it's like, okay, sometimes you're going to ramp on turn 3. Sometimes you're just going to cast this as a 5-mana 5/5, and that's okay. Sometimes it's just going to be massive in the late game. Trying to find your deserts that have maybe little value effects is not bad. Are you lower on this than I am, or like I'm going to give it?
I think this card's great.
Okay, great, cool. Yeah, nice, and especially all the stuff you talked about with the fixing. C or C+. I'm going to give it a C, but maybe you are a little bit higher.
I'm gonna give it a C+, and I actually could see it being even better.
B-, yeah.
So I'll maybe talk a little bit about this card because I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, please.
So we talked a little bit about some of the utility deserts you can get already, right? Like this deals your opponent 1 damage potentially. This bounces a land to your hand and functionally draws a card potentially. This surveils 1 potentially. It also comes into play untapped, so you can just get like a forest untapped and hold up Snakeskin Veil on your big like huge creature. And then even just like imagine you just have 3 of these in your opening hand, which it's not an insane card, but turn 3 you ramp, turn 4 you cast a 5/5, turn 5 you cast a 7/7, and meanwhile through that whole process you've fetched out potentially 2 deserts and done a bunch of extra value. Like I think this card's just a pretty good top end card to have.
Yeah,
and reasonably flexible too.
No, I think so too. It's I almost wonder if the untapped part of it was just like a push in power, which probably is that. But part of me wants it to be like they thought of that play pattern of holding up Snakeskin Veil. But yeah, okay. So you're gonna give it a C+, trending B-, and I'll give it a C. Horror Bristle Bandits. This is 1 green for a 1/1 plant rogue. You can tap it to add a mana of any color. Whenever you commit a crime, untap it, and this ability triggers only once per turn, though. Okay. I think that is a little bit of like not quite flavor text, but not all that relevant. Makes your removal spells cost one less, basically.
Yeah, well, it's good with a number of things. It's good at double spelling, right? Like if you're casting a removal spell into something, it can help you double spell. It also means all of your deserts kind of come into play on tap.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool.
They,
That's a really cool way to look at it.
and then fixing for every color of mana in a splish splashy set is always going to be good too.
Yeah, it does have the issue that I tend to bring up with these kind of cards. These like 2-mana mana dorks that doesn't actually do anything once the game has kind of play out a little bit. So you do want to make sure you're a green deck that can keep spending its mana. But yeah, adding a mana of any color, that is a big plus on my mana dork. I can stomach the fact that it doesn't have like Death Touch or whatever for the late game. So
yeah, it's got types too.
That's got types, yeah. It all adds up. C plus, B minus.
Yeah, I could see this even going higher, just because I think it's like opening hand win rate's going to be really good. But I'll stick with C plus.
Yeah, skullduggery just at the back of my head, being like, you know. All right, throw from the saddle up next. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on it instead if it's a mount. Then it deals damage to its power to target creature you don't control. So hey, it's just straight up better Rabid Bite. And if you have a mount, it gets a counter. It's a 2-mana Hunt the Weak. That's really good.
Yeah, this card's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a very nice one. I almost want to go a little bit higher than I normally kind of would for these kind of cards and give it a B minus. I don't know if you kind of want to stick in the C range, but
yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of blue players playing with open mana.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm gonna give this a C plus.
Okay.
But it is like we just saw how good Bite Down on Crime was, just being like often 2 mana to push damage and punch something. And
right.
So I'm not surprised you want to trend on a higher scale for this initially.
Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to, because we one of our big misses from MKM was Bite Down on Crime. We gave it a pretty low grade, but the thing that really you felt time and time again is that extra damage it was able to push, right? The extra 2, and this is only extra 1, but it matters still, and +1 toughness matters still too. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a B minus. But yeah, I like the card.
And this one's arena bugged to cost 1 and a green in your opening hand, but it's properly done this
exactly. Yeah, it actually. Maybe it'll be bugged in a different way. Who knows? We've got Tumbleweed Rising up next. 1 and a green for a sorcery. You make an XX green elemental creature token, where X is the greatest power amongst creatures you control, and it's got plot for 2 and a green.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the clone a little bit, right? Where it's just like you want to play your 4-drop on 4 and then play this. You gotta, maybe, you know, we'll see in a few seconds or a few minutes here just what the 4-drop slot and the 5-drop slot has to offer. I don't love the card, but like you said, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's like it's never actually a 2-drop, and so it's not going to be like a D plus. Is that what we're going with this?
Yeah, there's like 4/2s running around, but those are all like 3-mana 4/2s, and so it doesn't play nicely with this because I mean it kind of does with on turn 4, I guess. Maybe that's something you're interested in. Yeah,
let you hold up Snakeskin Veil, I guess, in case they're trying to blow you out.
I'll give it a optimistic D plus. I like it. We've got Voracious Varmint up next. 1 and a green for a 2/2. It's a varmint. It's got vigilance and 1 sack it. Pay 1 and sack it, destroy target artifact or enchantment.
Yeah, card seems decent.
Yeah, serviceable too. It's like a C minus or a C. Probably about a C.
I give it a C.
Yeah.
It's got
cool.
Multiple upsides.
Drover Grizzly up next. A lot of Canadian homages, by the way, getting to green here. We got 2 and a green for a 4/2. It's a bear mount, and it's got, it says, when it attacks while saddled, creatures you control gain trample until end turn, saddle 1.
Us Canadians love riding the bears.
Yeah.
Eh?
The Grizzlies, look at that back. You can't tell me it's not a Canadian looking background here.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend mounting them.
Okay, so this card's like pretty filler, I would say. Like it's an okay playable, but nothing special.
Yeah, like a C minus.
C minus, yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Free Strider Commando. This is 3 and a green for a 3/3 Centaur Mercenary. When it enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it. If it wasn't cast, sorry, let me try this again. Free Strider Commander enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it if it wasn't cast or no mana was spent to cast it. That's kind of interesting. Plot for 3 and a green. So it's a 3-mana 3/3, or you can plot it on 4, cast it for free on turn 5, and it's a 5/5. You can blink it.
Or you can reanimate it as a 5/5 too.
I guess that's the little joke here. Yeah, reanimating's probably it. Okay, I mean it's still like whatever. It's very whatever actually. I think not anything special at all. Probably like a D plus.
Yeah, I'm with you there on a D plus.
Patient Naturalist is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 2/3 human scout. When it enters the battlefield, you mill 3 cards. You put a land card from among the mill cards into your hand, and if you can't, you make a treasure token. Okay, this is a pretty good one. It's sort of a variant on the Eccentric Farmer from Midnight Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
That one I think you grab any land from your grave, right? Not just from the milled cards.
Yes, but it could also miss.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I think this card's gonna be pretty good. Let's give it like a B-.
Yeah, it could even be a B, but I think B- is probably safe.
Cool. Maybe I called it a little bit too early, but here, finally, the Canadian card is here. The Giant Beaver. It's 3 and a green for a 4/4 Vigilant Mount. When it attacks while saddled, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature that's saddled this turn, and the saddle cost is 3, so kind of hefty.
Yeah, I'm sure there's multiple lewd jokes that are somewhere within range here, but
I was just thinking. Oh, yeah. I was thinking Mountie. My brain was going in that direction. Something about a Mountie and a beaver. But if you want to go that direction.
So pure, Alex.
Yeah, so pure. So it's a 4-mana 4/4 Vigilance. Okay, like that's okay. I don't hate it. It's got a little bit of an upside, but I think like the thing I like about these cards, we've kind of been like, okay, whatever, this mount's fine. It's adding mounts to your deck. And there's a lot of cards that care about mounts that we talked about. So just getting that mount density, I think, is pretty good. Even though the cards themselves are not anything to write home about. And I'm going to give Giant Beaver like a C.
Yeah, I do think that this is like the prime, there's the deal 4 damage for 3 mana in red.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, the bounce spells. There's all the we just talked about the 4 drops, 5 drops kind of need either an ETB or ward, and this has neither.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that if you're looking for a mount, this is one of the better ones.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, I'm joining you on.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Reach for the Sky is up next. 3 and a green for a flash enchantment. It's an aura. Enchanted creature gets +3/+2 and has reach. And when Reach from the Sky is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card. Ooh.
It's not that relevant to line. Like, we had, Audacity in Brothers War?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the draw a card line of text, I don't know. It just, it's a death trigger, right? As we kind of talked about these, they're just always worse than they look.
Sure, but I'm thinking of this as, like, you win a combat, and then they have to deal with it because you have a massive creature now.
Mm-hmm.
And you draw a card, which is like, a little bit ups. I'm not like amazed by this card or anything. I think my intonation sounds like I'm way more into this card than I am. I'm just gonna give it a D, but I think it's a playable card.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on
Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent's letting you get them when you have 4 open mana in green, like, they're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just laughing, and this is definitely an unnecessary interjection in this already almost 5-hour set review. But after I said Reach for the Sky, I just realized, we're going to go all the way back here, that Ankle Biter is there's a snake in my boot joke. I just got that. All right. Anyways, back to... That's how my brain works. Back to more green comments here. Spinewoods Paladin. 5 mana for a 4 and a green 5/4 trample. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. And it's got a plot cost of 3 and a green.
I like this card.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's just a big thing. Gains 3 life. The plot cost adds something to it. Yeah.
It's riding a moose.
Boo! I didn't even notice that. Riding a moose. Beautiful. Yeah, you want to give us a C+?
No, I want to go higher.
Oh, B-.
I think so.
Okay.
I think this card's just really good.
All right. No, I'll join you there. I'm in for it too. Ooh, this has been interesting. Better or worse than this one? I think probably a little bit better. Cactarantula. 4 green for a plant spider. It's a 6/5, and it costs 1 less to cast if you control a desert. It's got reach, and when it becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card.
Yeah, weird that this just not just like ward or whatever.
Ward, yeah, ward. Yeah, it's interesting.
Like they phrase it differently just because of weird templating, but I mean, the main downside usually when you cast a big expensive dummy is that they just deal with it and you're behind. But this is pretty good insurance for that.
Yeah.
And reach means like they're not going over it, they're not going through it.
Yeah, I said this was worse than the last card, but I don't think by a ton. Like I'm still gonna give this one like C+.
Yeah, I was gonna give C+ for this as well.
Cool. Moving into our uncommons now. The true home stretch. Trash the town. Single green mana for an instant. It's a spree card. +2 mana. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. +1 mana. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. +1 mana until end of turn. Target creature gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw 2 cards. Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of modality.
Oh, wow. And good modality, too. Just like 2 mana until end of turn. Target creature gains, draw 2 cards when this hits. So 2 mana draw 2, which, again, is not like amazing, but good. Counters, good. Trample, good. Like, not a lot to hate here.
Yeah, like if they just don't block and they're tapped out, like you're just pretty happy spending 4 mana +2/+2 draw 2. Like
yeah, that's great. Oh, I really like this card. Do you want to go as high as a B on this one?
It's expensive.
It's 4 mana to do that, and you need to have a clean attack. I mean, you don't need to have a clean attack, but you're like you mentioned, you need to have your opponent not having open mana, and that's not going to be always the case in this set.
Like I do think this is one where you kind of have to combine 2 modes.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. You're not that happy with the
any single mode is a little underwhelming. Like I guess 2 mana draw 2 cards can be actually pretty good potentially.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not even true. And yeah, with the double striker, like oh my god.
Yeah, the double striker. Yeah. By the way, for people not in Twitch chat or just listening along here, chat's been pointing out multiple combos with the 2/2 double striker this entire set review. So maybe we slightly revise the grade on that one. But yeah, I like this.
Are you gonna go B? I think I'm gonna go B-.
B-. Yeah, I think my it's funny the way my brain works. I like say the grade and I go, ooh, let's just change that a little bit. So I agree. I'm gonna go B- for Trash the Town. All right, next up, Aloe Alchemist. This is 1 and a green for a 3/2 trample, plant warlock, good types, 2 mana 3/2 trample, all good. When it becomes plotted, target creature gets +3/+2 and gains trample until end of turn, and the plot cost is only 2 mana, 1 and a green.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
great.
This is a weird one in that like plot for 2 is great, but you kind of don't want to plot it on 2 because you're losing that ability. Like there's not a lot of 1-drops.
Yeah, I think you're gonna play it on 2 if you have it in your opening hand, unless you have another 2 that's like comparable. But yeah,
I think you do play more 1-drops with this card specifically.
Yeah, I can buy that.
It seems really good. I honestly don't know how to grade this card.
I'm gonna give it a B, I think. I think the combo of good types, cheap card, 2 mana 3/2, plays well with tricks, cheap plot cost, like it just has a lot of little things going on here.
Sure. I'll defer to your expertise on this one.
Gold Rush. 1 and a green for an instant. Create a treasure token, and then until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 for each treasure token you control.
So this is a Mondo combo with the locomotive.
Yeah, I guess I just make a bunch of treasure and just kill them out of nowhere, maybe. Yeah.
But there's actually there's not a ton of treasure makers in this set.
No, there's not.
Because if it was, this card would be broken.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you reliably have 1 other treasure when you cast this card's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. +4/+4 make a treasure. I think you're not going to. You're right that you're not going to have a treasure that often. So it's just like a little bit of investing mana for a future turn. A 1 mana 2/2 +2/2. If you want to think about it like that, I think it's like a C.
Yeah, I think C's fair.
Cool. Intrepid Stable Master. 1 and a green for a 2/2 human scout. It's got reach. Tap, add a green. Or tap to add 2 mana of any one color. Spend this only to cast vehicles or mounts.
Yeah, another good card.
Yeah, nothing to hate here. Just a solid B-.
Yeah, I was just gonna say B-. Yeah.
Cool. Raucous Entertainer. This is 1 and a green for a 2/2 plant bard. I'm saying the creature types, even though at this point they don't actually matter. But 1 and tap it. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that entered the battlefield this turn.
You just don't want the set review to end.
Yeah, I just like more. Yeah.
We're getting close to it. You're like, no,
This
a little bit longer.
Quality time we're spending together, more. Just like it can't come to an end. Won't this night go on forever? Yeah, it seems okay. It's like a 2-drop that retains relevance as the game goes on. Like the problem is you're just not actually going to activate this all that often.
Yeah, because you want to curve out.
Yeah, I'm like lower on that. I think this is actually just more of a. There's a lot of pretty good 2s we've seen, so I think this is like a C- D+ level card, probably closer to D+. Honestly,
Really, I'm not that low on it. Like it's you can plot stuff.
Yeah,
then,
that's the joke. Yeah,
creature, and you can play the Forma Posse, make X 1/1s, and like there's
you like there are, like we mentioned, a lot of things that make 2 bodies in this set. Okay, no, I'm too low on this. I think I'll come up to like a C then.
Okay, I was gonna give it just like a C+.
Okay,
I think it's
fair
fine.
enough. This is a cool one. Stubborn Burrow Fiend. 1 and a green for a 2/2. It's a Badger Beast mount. This creature type does matter. Whenever it becomes saddled for the first time each turn, you mill 2 cards, and then it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Saddle cost of 2.
So talk about 2-drops that you like drawing in the late game.
Yeah, this one.
This thing is terrifying.
You do have to worry a little bit, just like, how many times can you mill 2 in the late game, but like probably not that much. You don't have to worry too much about it. Yeah, this card's great.
It's gonna attack with like a 8/8 to like 12/12 potentially.
Yeah, I like it. You want to give this a B?
Yeah, like I'm not sure exactly how good this card is because it's not really great on defense. But you can, just to be clear, you can just play this and saddle it immediately, right?
Yep.
Like even though it can't attack, so you can just start triggering it right away. Yeah, I think B is probably reasonable.
Sweet. Beastbond Outcaster up next. 2 and a green for a 3/3, and it says when it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card, and it's got plot for 1 and a green.
Very nice card to have plot.
Yep. I think you're gonna plot this on turn 2 a decent amount of the time. Just go like this into a 4/2 and play it on turn 3. Really good though. Like this is just like straight up just a very good card. Nothing too. You have to have the deck for it, but it's not gonna be that hard to do. You could even like.
Yeah, I think that like if you're not triggering it, this thing's still fine.
Yeah, it's still 3 mana 3/3. Like you're not like, oh my god, terrible fail case or anything.
Or like the 2 mana. Like
sorry, 2 mana 3/3. Yeah.
And just passing it on turn 3 without proccing it.
Yeah, card's good.
Yeah, it's still decent.
Do you have to revise our grading scale?
On this is really high.
Do we have to revise the grading scale because every card's just good these days? Like,
you want the green.
Yeah. Green is very good. Yeah, that is the one thing I feel that to be true, but say green is very good. B? B+?
Yeah. B. I think B is good.
Speaking of cracked cards, Outcaster Green Blade. 2 and a green for a human mercenary. It's a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, you look through your library for a basic land or a desert. You reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, and it gets +1/+1 for each desert you control. Just static ability.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's a great card. Like, imagine playing a desert on 1, playing this as a 2/3, go get another desert. Yeah, card's very good.
This is an A-.
Ooh, that high, eh? Yeah, no, I can buy it. I think probably B+, because like you do have to do a little bit of legwork to get it to be like a reasonably large creature, but no, whatever. You draw a card off of it. Okay, I'll join you.
Okay, you give it your conservative B+.
No. I did the thing where I talk through it and I come to the right grade. I'll join you at A- for Outcaster Green Blade.
Okay.
Rambling Possum's up next. 2 and a green for a 3/3 possum mount. Whenever it attacks while saddled, it gets +1/+2 until end of turn. Then you may return any number of creatures that saddled it this turn to their owner's hand. Saddle 1. Interesting.
Yeah, the tax is a 4-power creature, if you care about that.
Yeah, it has a 4/5. 4/5 is pretty hard to block, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, we don't have to list off all the things that are good to return, but I'm sure there's some good stuff in there.
Well, we just saw one.
No, we just saw one exactly, yeah. This one's not just quite as just generically like excellent. You do have to have kind of the board state for it. You have to feel okay picking up something. I think it's still like a C plus though.
The pickup is a May, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's a May. C plus.
I was thinking B minus, but I'll join on C plus.
Okay. Map the Frontier up next. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands or desert cards. Put them on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle. That's it. It's just an explosive vegetation. I don't think you're going to be playing this very much. Better ways to fix. You're not ramping to something giant, really.
So let me maybe interest you in a very specific circumstance.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so turn 3, you play the 3/2 Death Touch. That when you commit a crime, it can give something menace or lifelink.
Yeah, so you get 2 deserts.
And turn 4, you get 2 deserts. You hit them for 5, gain 3, and you've got 7 mana next turn.
All right, yeah, that's something. Still an F though, right? Like, I mean, D minus maybe is probably more accurate.
Yeah, I'm talking you up to a D minus. That's my goal.
Now you're the one who wants this set route to go on a little bit longer. Okay, I'll give a D minus to Map the Frontier.
Sweet.
Rise of the Varmints. This is a really cool one. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Create X 2/1 green varmint creature tokens where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Plot for 2 and a green.
Yeah, kind of a cool card.
Yeah, it's like the spider spawning-esque, but nowhere near as good.
Right. Yeah, nowhere near as well. Spider spawning, when Innistrad first came out and it was played kind of the fair way, it was still a decent card. Like people kind of forget that. They're like, oh, spider spawning was broken because you could mill it and then flash it back and then recycle it. But like fair spider spawning, before people figured out about how insane the like 3-color mill deck was,
Still good.
it was still a good card.
Yeah, if you make 2, this is 4 mana, make 2 2/1s. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's like maybe playable, and then if you get 3, you're pretty happy, and if you get more than 3, you're really doing it.
Yeah, you're aiming for 3. You can really shoot for the moon and go like really deep on it. Oh, and I'm like imagining something where you have like the blue Snapcaster thing, you're like you're self milling and like right, yeah. Cool card. Yeah. Do you want to give it something in the B range, C plus? I think it's probably in the B range. I'd probably just give it a like B.
Whoa, okay. You give it your grade, but I'm not going that high.
Okay, I was gonna give it a B minus with like potential to be higher, but
okay, I am gonna give it a C.
But it's cheap plot. That's another thing too.
But yeah, it's cheap plot. But the reason I like cheap plot is because there's so many things that want you to double spell on 4.
Of course.
And you're not double spelling on 4 with this.
Full steam ahead. 3 green for a sorcery. Until end turn, creatures you control gain +2/+2 and trample. And they gain the ability this creature can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. So these +2/+2 and trample cards are not quite as good as the +3/+3 and trample overruns of Days of Yore. But this is actually a little bit closer to overrun than not, I think. Because the thing with overrun was always like, well, you either survive and your board gets wiped, or you die. And I think these creatures can't be blocked by more than 1 creature kind of lends itself to that kind of play pattern a little bit more than other +2/+2 tramples. I still don't love the card, but I like it more than other cards that are kind of like this.
That's an extremely relevant line of text on these abilities.
Yeah.
Like and the combination with trample, so they can't just like, it's typically if it's just a thing that boosts your creature, the creatures that are threatening they all double block, and the things that are not threatening they either let through or they'll like chump your 6/6 with their 1/1, and so this solves a lot of the problems with non-lethal overruns. But again, how wide are you really going?
Yeah, exactly. So
C minus?
Yeah, C minus. I think that's probably a fair grade for it. Betrayal at the Vault. 4 green for an instant. It deals target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of 2 other target creatures. So like a spinning wheel kick, sort of, but can't scale and is an instant.
Yeah, and like if your opponent has like a single blue mana up, you can't cast this.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's gonna be a really interesting dynamic in this set. Just like against, again, just playing against the blue decks. It's gonna be so difficult. Card is strong. Card like just imagine a green mid-range matchup. You're just like playing some creatures, they're playing some creatures, you play some creatures. It's gonna be quite good. Just you go to your turn, you have a 4 power creature, you deal 4 2 things. You're gonna be very happy about that.
It like you basically need your opponent to be tapped out to cast this.
Yes, yes, absolutely. The same thing kind of you felt with
in
spinning
this set, like that's not something that's gonna happen very reliably, I don't think.
Yeah, I was gonna give us a B minus, but maybe you're a little lower.
I'm way lower.
Oh wow,
like,
way lower. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. B minus. Yeah. Like maybe I should just let you have your grade so I can.
We're gonna give it like what, C minus?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. Interesting.
It's super expensive. Like by the time you cast this, there's so many interaction spells in the set with the whole crime sheet and all the instants we've seen, and all the spree cards.
Okay. Yeah,
and
yeah.
All they need is one piece of interaction to totally blow this out, and it can literally be a single blue mana that cantrips.
But if you have, your 7 mana, have Snake's Conveil up. No, I agree. I actually think you're probably right. I should come down around a little bit. I'm gonna give it a C plus still, but
okay.
Yeah. Last card here, Spinewood's Armadillo. 4 green for a 7/7 reach with Ward 3. Big creature with Ward. That's all you get on the front side, but it also has the ability, 1 and a green, to discard it from your hand, search your library for a basic land or a desert, reveal it, put it into your hand, you gain 3 life. Yeah.
Yeah, all you get for 6 mana is a 7/7 reach for 1/3. Oh,
well,
shame.
I mean, these days, what do you know? What are you gonna? You might expect more. It could gain some life on ETB or make you a sandwich or whatever. All right.
Yeah, there's a ton of reanimates in this set too.
Yeah, that I'm glad you brought that up. That is a great point. Just to, pitch it, reanimate it. Happy about that.
Yeah, on this sheet today, there's I guess the green black one only.
Mm-hmm.
But in rares and mythics, there's I think at least 3 or 4 more different types.
Cool.
From the various sheets we're gonna do tomorrow. So. And also, like, Ward 3 is huge. Like,
yeah,
this is massive.
That's great. You want to give us a B? Flexible. It's a good threat.
I am gonna go B plus.
Okay, yeah.
I think this card's just really good.
I want to stick on B, but yeah,
okay.
Really cool. All right, and that does it. Mark, I want to give a special thanks to you today because you were not, as we said at the beginning, you were not feeling completely 100%. And luckily, I was feeling more energetic than usual, so I was able to talk through a lot of these cards, read them out. But you deserve most of the credit here because it's hard to do these things when you're not feeling 100%. These are long days, and I want to thank you for being here, of course. I want to thank chat for being here, of course. I also want to thank Zachary for providing the slides for this. Very helpful. So shout out to Zachary out there. You know who you are. And, also the spreadsheet, too. And yeah, Mark, any last thoughts before we pack up for the day?
Yeah, I kind of caught a second wind after having some dinner and getting some, I guess, lubrication in the pipes. But yeah, I thanks again for having me. You certainly don't have to say that I've done a lot of the work. You read basically 99% of all the card text. So looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow we cover the rare mythics and all the other bonus sheets. I guess final thoughts on just general state of the format for this. I think the set's going to be really good. I think green, and specifically multicolored green, is probably going to be the best deck from start to finish, but the other 4 colors, to me at least, all look somewhat close. So I think it'll be a lot of interesting splish-splashy decks, and it's a Dave Humphrey set, so what can go wrong?
Yeah, of course, exactly. Yeah, I think this one has the potential to be another, a lot of people called MKM an all-timer, and I really like that set. I think this one has the potential to be, up there as well. So, yeah, we'll see what tomorrow has to bring. I think tomorrow's set review is going to be just about as long as today's because we've got a lot of cards and the bonus sheets like we mentioned, but stick around. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Bye, everybody.